Ooh, welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now, along with a furry friend, I have Jess Uhler, and she plays Kris McNeil in Massacre Academy. And I have about three of the girls on Massacre Academy on this week, plus the director this week on the show. And we're going to be promoting the film as well as the premiere coming up, which is on July 31st. So, hey, Jess, how are you doing?
I'm good. Please ignore him. He's not starved for attention. I feed him. He gets everything.
He's adorable. And we were debating if I would get sued on my clothing items. And she said, so if I could wear PlayStation, I'm like, of course. Oh, we're Nintendo in the match. So.
I figured I should just represent myself. I'm not trying to
Right.
be anybody else. This is a child size shirt that I got from my last job.
Right.
This is me.
Right. And when you make movies and everything, you're not allowed to wear any logos because of the money market. And that I don't make money off of my podcasts. I don't feel the need of making money off of my guests, obviously. That's why they go on like podcasting platforms and that, and they go on to and like on YouTube, but I'm not monetized or any of that stuff. So yeah, so I don't make any money off it. So if you're watching PlayStation and Nintendo, I'm not making money off of your logos.
Please don't come after us.
Absolutely. So the first question I got for you is, how did you get your start into acting?
Oh, so I am an only child. I'm adopted. So that's a double whammy of the attention was always on me. So my mom, from when I was little, I remember like the camera. She had one of those old like 90s, like, the big video cameras.
Right.
I would just
Put this on
sing.
Do Not Disturb. Sorry.
You're fine.
I forgot all about that.
So I would sing, I would do like little skits. I remember I would like quote movies all the time and she was just always recording me. So it just kind of seemed natural and nobody was surprised when I started getting into
Right.
plays and musical in school, and then we went from there. And then we got into like student films around when I moved to Pittsburgh. It was like student
Mhm.
films, and then I just kind of built it up, and the Pittsburgh film scene has grown enough that I'm able
Mhm.
to work pretty frequently now.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. So what made you want to be a part of Massacre Academy?
Well, first of all, horror. Um, Second of all, it was the story is it's an homage to 80s
Mhm.
slashers, but it's not your typical like girls are so helpless type of thing, and it
Right.
really delves deeper into the aftermath of what happens with these
Mhm.
slashers. So like the start of the film is we're actually 2 years later after the first incident in Orstown. So
Mhm.
my character Chris is dealing with all of like the emotional baggage from that night when her parents
Mhm.
were murdered and having to take care of her sister on her own. I was like, oh, there's so much more to this. And I like doing the unexpected.
Mhm.
So I like when it's not typical. And there was
Right.
just so much for me to work on personally, like with it.
Right.
And the character, I love Chris. Like I realized Chris was a lot more like myself than I
Right.
realized.
Yeah, that's awesome. So speaking about your character of Chris, can you tell us a little bit about her?
See, I told you Bjorn's going to start yelling because he's very enthusiastic about this film too. So Chris is she's damaged. Like let's be
Right.
honest here, she's been through this really really traumatic event, and now it's like the weight of the world. Like she was a star softball pitcher, and then all of this just ended. Like her world crashed. Her parents are gone. She can't pitch anymore. She doesn't really know who she is. Her sister is now a student at Orstown, and it's like she can't move on from her life.
Right.
But she has such an incredible journey, and like it
Right.
was. I'm not a softball pitcher, so it was really fun to like watch the YouTube videos and pretend
Right.
and kind of learn the motions. But like I said, the scenes and the characters that Mark created, it was just a lot, and it was a lot of fun to get involved with that.
Right, absolutely. So, for those that are wondering, well, they're talking about Massacre Academy. What the hell is Massacre Academy about? Can you tell us a little bit about Massacre Academy and let everybody know what this film is about? Like a brief synopsis, basically.
Yeah. So in Orrstown, PA, which is actually a town near Harrisburg that I discovered on Orrstown campus. So it's a college town. And one night in the 80s, the late 80s,
Mhm.
where the film is set, um, the character, Dave Sheridan's character, Henry Lee Palmer, he snaps and he massacres a whole bunch of college kids at a frat party. And Kris is one of the few survivors, along with Debbie, the queen of the town, Queen Debbie. And it's going from there. So 2 years later, you jump right into, it's 1987. A lot of people have moved on. Like I said, Kris hasn't moved on, but then all of a sudden the attacks start happening again. So they're like, how is this happening? You know, because we all thought, you know, Henry Lee Palmer was gone. So it's everybody trying, they just get frantic and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And it's just nonstop action from there.
Oh, that's awesome. And I can't wait to see this myself. It does sound really good. I became really good friends with Mark, actually. And I definitely plan on working with him in the future, in a future movie or so. I can't say anything about it really, but I can say that we are talking, and it'll be so cool to actually meet him. Pittsburgh's about, maybe I'd say 5 hours from me, give or take. So I'll try to, I'll definitely be coming out there a few times. I'm not sure if I'll be driving, or if I drive, my boyfriend's coming with me. And if I don't drive, then my mom's going to be taking me because I'm not an adventurous driver. So if I do drive, I'm going to need somebody with me.
Gotcha. I mean, it does. It makes the drive go a little bit faster.
It does. It really does. Because I mean, like I was saying, I live in Maryland now. I'm down by Baltimore, and I drive home, you know, to Pennsylvania every other weekend or so, which is about a 3-hour drive. So, and it does get very, very long. Like, you know, it's very long, very slow. You know, and imagine, you know, adding an extra 2 hours on it. You'd be like, oh, 2 hours isn't that bad, but it really is.
Yeah, until you're past the 3-hour point, you're like, oh man, I'm tired. I still have 2 more hours.
I know, exactly. So, what was the best part about filming Massacre Academy, and what was the worst?
The best part was, it was probably my cast and Mark and the crew. We all got along so well immediately. Like, I know, and I knew a few of my cast mates prior to filming, but I don't think I've ever clicked with a group so fast, which really shows on screen with, you see the chemistry between all of us. Like, it's that level of comfort. And, you know, with Mark, he puts a lot of trust into you. Like, he's not one of those directors, and it's his baby, so you want to do it right, but he's not one of those directors where you can't say to him, like, hey, I feel like I should do this. And he won't be like offended or anything. He'll be like, okay, like he puts his faith into you. So every day on set, went by very fast, which was pretty odd for some of us who've done a lot of indie stuff where we're on set for like 12 hours. But it was fast and it was enjoyable. Even like the uncomfortable scenes and the emotional stuff, it was fun. But yeah, that's definitely the best part. The worst part, there was one day we were in a very, very cold building, and I don't do well, I guess, in very extreme temperatures. Like, I'm still there and I'm doing my best, but the outfit I was in was pretty thin, and it was, I don't even remember if it was supposed to snow that day or not, but the building had no heat. Like, it was actually, like, we filmed in the city of McKeesport. So it was a lot of buildings that hadn't been in use in years. We're upstairs, and I'm like, you see me in the trailer, like I'm holding a gun, but I'm like, I'm freezing. And I'm very like talkative. I wasn't talking at all. I had no energy to speak, and I was just like, okay, let's do it. And I didn't want to be miserable, but I was miserable. Like, let's be honest. That was the only thing. That was
and I mean, how can you not be miserable and be in extreme temperatures? But the good thing is, as a professional, like you know, got through it and you got it done. And then, I mean, obviously the quicker you get it done, obviously you don't want to rush through it, but the quicker you get it done, it's like, okay, let me suck it up, kind of do it, get it done with, and then I can get warmed up. You know what I mean? We can get this knocked out. Because I mean, you do hear a lot of those type of horror stories, like, no pun intended, on like film sets. Like, for example, in Friday the 13th Part 4, Judy Arnson's character character dies in the lake on the mattress. She gets stabbed from underneath, and she got hypothermia from that scene because the director didn't want her to get out and get warmed up. He wanted to finish the scene, and the actor that played Jason actually stood up and said, "If you either get her out of that raft, out of the water and warmed up, or I'm walking, and you're going to find yourself a new Jason." And obviously he didn't take that, he didn't take kindly to that. Obviously this is in the 80s when things were a lot different than it is now. Like nowadays you can easily warm people up, or you can easily film something a lot quicker and get it done with. Back in the 80s you didn't have that type of technology or that type of freedom or time. There wasn't even really, I mean, there was indie horror, but it wasn't like it is nowadays. Nowadays, like you don't, like every day you spend on the set, it's not like you're wasting money. Like you can, if you have to reshoot something later, you can get it done, you know what I mean, at that time. So it's not that bad.
I just had an image when you said the guy playing Jason stood up. I'm like, I don't know how I'd feel if I was on set and all of a sudden Jason just stood up and was like, guys, I won't stand for this anymore.
I know. I interviewed him too, and he told that story, and I did try not to laugh because it is funny thinking of Jason being so kind-hearted, like either get this girl warmed up or I'm walking.
Yeah, like there are some characters, like even without mask and stuff. Like if I ever met Tobin Bell, played Jigsaw, I love the Saw series. I bet he's a sweetheart, but Lord, would I be like,
and I interviewed Terry Kaiser, who played Bernie in Weekend at Bernie's and the Bad News Cruise in Friday 7, and like it was my dream to interview him. When he agreed to it, I was like so happy because I love Dr. Cruise. I freaking love Dr. Cruise, and I love Friday the 13th Part 7. It's one of my favorites. And interviewing him, it was so great. And he was telling so many stories. Like he said, I asked him if he did his own stunt. He's like, I had to do my own stunt because they couldn't afford to bring in a stunt double to do that when he pushes him back or whatever and that. And then he said that, and then when they pushed me back, I fell into the swampy area, and they had a crocodile wrangler and a rattlesnake wrangler because they were filming in a swampy area that there's all crocodiles and rattlesnakes everywhere. So he said that it was so dangerous. So it was an interesting.
We got the shot. We got the shot. That's absolutely all that matters.
That's all that matters. Hey, if I get a close call with that crocodile, hey, as long as we got that shot and not crocodile food, we're good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, are there any fun stories from behind the scenes when you were filming Massacre Academy?
There are a few that I'm sure Sierra and Christina will tell you about that involve Sierra's behind the scenes vlogging. Very funny.
Awesome.
For me, okay, there's a running joke. I don't know why I started doing this the one day, but Mark's son Cody was doing sound.
Okay.
So Cody just gets this annoyed look on his face every time I do.
How old is he?
Cody's 18 now.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know why, but I would just get in this goofy mood and I'd start doing that guy from Family Guy, Bruce. I'd be like, oh no. And I just start doing that voice for no reason. And everything would just stop. You just hit a certain point, you get a little goofy. But I'd be like, oh no, he's coming up the stairs. Just something really stupid. And I'll still do it occasionally. Like I'll post a picture on Facebook to like Mark or Cody.
That's awesome. When you said son, like I thought, and Mark is probably going to get a kick out of this when he watches this, but I thought Mark was literally like maybe mid-20s, and I'm thinking 18-year-old son. I was thinking like 5-6-year-old kid holding the boom mic.
Mark should be like, thank you. Yeah,
he's gonna be thank you for that one. I thought he was in his mid-20s, maybe late 20s, because I'm 31, believe it or not.
Hey, I love this game. I love when people are like, they say to me like, oh yeah, what school you're going to? I'm like, I want you to guess how old I am.
Right.
I am 30 myself.
Oh, nice. Yeah. See, like it's weird because like back in the 80s when you watch the horror movies, like it's hard to guess their age because they're supposed to be teenagers and they might be early 20s, but they look like they're freaking 30s. Right. Like, for example, Friday the 13th Part 3, the guy that played Chuck, that Cheech and Chong hillbilly dude, he is 25 years old in that scene. Doesn't he look like he's at least 40?
Yeah.
I mean, I interviewed him. He's a nice guy, and I don't mean to like be mean and rude or whatever, like by his age, but he does not look 25.
No. It's
so,
crazy.
Like, yeah.
Now I feel like people younger than me look like older or
Yeah.
like about my age, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what
Yeah.
this.
It's crazy.
Maybe I am a vampire and nobody told me. I don't know, which is
Oh my
fine.
God.
I used
Yeah.
to get, like,
Right.
offended, but it's cool now. Not like
Right.
Disney's gonna be calling me anytime soon to, like, do any of their shows. I cuss way too much to be on Disney.
So speaking of Mark, like I said, became good friends with him. He's a really nice guy. He's been super sweet to me. And I interviewed him on Thursday. So what can you tell us about him? How was he as a director?
He was great. Like I said earlier, Mark has you build a level of trust,
Hmm.
where I could just be like, this is kind of what I want to do. Like there was a scene where there was a whole I had two lines and I just looked at him, I
Hmm.
said, I don't feel like I should say those, or I didn't do it. And he was like, that's fine, just keep doing it. I did something else.
Right.
Um, but he's very conscious and he's very respectful
Mhm.
of everybody's time. So
Right.
Mark preps for everything. He preps his prepping. Like
Right.
he's so on schedule. We were actually finished ahead of schedule a lot
Nice.
of days.
Nice.
Um he just and I think that's the thing with experience is
Hmm.
you realize what you didn't enjoy on some sets and how you could make it better for your cast
Yeah,
and crew. Yeah.
absolutely.
So that I was very appreciative of that personally because
Mhm.
we all, I mean, none of us are doing this full time yet.
Right.
So we all have other stuff to do. And when we're there, we want to give you all of our energy and we want to put everything into filming.
Right.
And that's really hard when like you get to set and then you don't film for maybe 2 hours. Like I feel like we've all been there. And then you see the energy of everybody go down. But that was not what happened on Massacre Academy. Like
Right.
everything was just, okay, you ready to go? Let's go.
Yeah.
So that was
Absolutely.
that was huge.
That's awesome. And it, like you said, it does come with experience. Like Mark, it's not like this is his first rodeo.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we spoke about my first movie and how it wasn't that good. And he said he's been there, done that type of thing. So he made the mistakes that first time filmmakers make. He
Mhm.
learned from mistakes. He learned from experience, from all other things. So it's not like, Massacre Academy is his first rodeo. So he he knows like, this is what I want to do for the schedule. This is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to do it. And that's how you got ahead of schedule. Like it was able to be done because he has been there, done that type of thing. And I mean, obviously Massacre Academy, it'll show for it, with how good it is. I mean, I watched the trailer. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it really is.
when we were sitting there, we actually got to watch it in like a private like cast screening, and
Mhm.
it was, I can be pretty hard on myself, but I
Mhm.
really just let myself watch the
Right.
film. And it was from start to finish, it was a ride. And there was a few times it slowed down a little bit so you could catch your breath,
Yeah.
but then it was right back again. And
Yeah.
I think that's really to the benefit of the film was
Yeah.
the pacing.
Yeah, absolutely. 'Cause, like, it's one thing when you're on the edge of your seat watching it the whole time, and you're like you have your anxiety is so up because like there's
Mhm.
action after action after action. There's another thing when there's that action, and then it takes it down a notch, and
Yeah.
then it goes back into action, and then takes it down another notch. Like you don't want it to be full speed all the time. That's why when you watch slasher movies, they don't kill everybody. Like, well, unless you're talking about 2009 Friday the 13th or something, but
Yeah.
but like they don't like just kill everybody in one lump sum, or like they'll do it in a sequence. It'll slowly build up to it
Yeah.
because that's the way, like the pacing is really how it goes. Like if you pace it properly, it's going to give the audience, they're going to be able to react to what happened, slow down, take a deep breath, and then maybe in 5-10 minutes of whatever's going on, they can react to it again. And that is a brilliant part of filmmaking, and
Yeah.
really only good filmmakers really understand that. And the way you're speaking about it, I'm sure Mark, like he has that knowledge to make that happen, which is great. It really is.
Yeah. It's very interesting, like how the pacing for horror
Hmm.
has changed throughout the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
So yeah.
like back in the day, it would be like a slow burn, and then it would, you get a few kills here and there, and then
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the scariest part about filming Massacre Academy?
hmm, uh the pressure of playing Chris, I guess.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like when you say scary, I guess it's just for me, it's more pressure on myself of doing a good performance. That would be the scariest part for me. It's like this is, this role took a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really get I don't get scared by gore or blood. I
Right.
work in a haunted house during haunt
Okay.
season, so I'm used to it. I actually I requested some like wrestling moves for maybe a
Nice.
fight scene in there. So that stuff doesn't scare me. I thrive on that.
Right.
Um, but it's more it was there is a big emotional
Mhm.
scene in the middle of the film, and I knew that
Right.
had to be the big one, like the big emotional scene for me. Like, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to make it as authentic as possible.
Okay.
So that I wouldn't say it's scary, but it was like, okay, you gotta be serious about this. You gotta really
Right.
focus.
Absolutely. So on a side note, I'm trying to think. This popped into my mind when you mentioned the wrestling moves. Were you the one I was talking to with Mark on Facebook about Darkest Side of the Ring?
That's
Okay, it was
me,
you. I just have to make sure it was you.
Undertaker.
Nice. I love Undertaker. I'm a big wrestling fan. Yeah, I know that I did watch the China documentary. I believe it was on this
Like,
past Monday or
yeah,
Sunday or something.
I watched it.
I
Yeah,
watched it. It was so sad, like, because I love China and I thought I thought she was beautiful. Like she really was.
she
And
was so ahead of her time.
yeah,
There was also, she was disrespected immensely
yeah,
with all that drama, but
yeah,
China was so far ahead. And it's like, she was wrestling men way
yeah,
back in the Attitude Era
yeah,
when women are not supposed to be like that. But
yeah.
then you look at how like the current like the NXT
Mhm.
women coming up from the indies, like Candice LeRae and Adam Cole actually had a really great indie match that I've watched a few times on YouTube. But like that was really unheard of back then.
Yeah.
Like females wrestling men, and I'm like, why not? Like to me, I'm like, why not? Why can't Charlotte Flair take on Randy Orton? Like she kicked his.
Right. I think so too. I really think so. And if you're gonna put any female currently on the current roster in with a man, it's Charlotte Flair.
It
She's
is.
the best women's wrestler on, and they have a lot of good women's wrestlers, Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks
Mhm.
and Becky
Yeah.
Lynch, who's on maternity leave and all that. But you have Charlotte Flair, freaking daughter of Ric Flair, for God's sakes, and she is probably the best women's wrestler like present day. Like she really is, and maybe even of all time, I would even go that far because she really is great.
She's up there. And I would say, because I watch AEW too,
Mhm.
their women's division has come very, very far.
Okay.
And they're continuing to grow. Like,
Yeah.
now that they have it was really cool because they had that women's tournament,
Yeah.
and it had a lot of like the Japanese wrestlers that came
Yep.
over. And I was so into that. I was like,
Awesome.
that's really cool that they just expand and they
Yeah.
give more people exposure.
Right. Absolutely. And I know, do you remember Chelsea Green?
I do. Yeah.
So I'm actually in talks with having her on my show. She said that she's been released and she's not able to discuss anything
Mhm.
WWE or professional wrestling for that matter up
Right.
until I believe it's July 15th. So she told me to reach.
90-day non-compete
Yep.
clause. Gotta
Yep.
love them.
I know. So she told me to reach out after July. Because I knew she was in a non-compete clause. I just thought that meant she wasn't able to compete on TV, which that does mean that. But she also isn't allowed to talk about anything wrestling on podcasts or anything else as well. It also affects all media appearances and all that stuff. Now she's allowed to have her own podcast
Right.
and discuss that, but she's not allowed to discuss anything wrestling in any public aspect outside of her own adventure, her own endeavors. Which I don't know if she discusses wrestling or how she does it, but she's not allowed to like actually go out there and discuss anything about her time with WWE until the 90 days is up, which is what I want to discuss, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she's not able to do that. So she said reach back out July. She said we could set something up. So I'm thinking July 15th is when it's up. I'm pretty sure from what I read.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for her though. I mean, I have very, very strong opinions on all of that, but
Yeah.
I will refrain. But
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to be that's like the secret dream that never
Yeah.
happened
Yeah.
is being a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
But that would be really cool if I wound up if there was like a fake like Glow, that
Yeah.
Netflix show.
Yep.
Oh, if they did something like that, I would love to
Yeah.
be in that.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. And like, I mean, Chelsea Green was so great, and I think they dropped the ball with her. She gave so much, like she gave so many thoughts of what she can do for her character, and they just declined every one of them. And
They
then,
dropped
like,
the ball on a lot of people.
Right, they did. They did. And I'm currently a fan of Nikki Cross. And then last night when they freaking put her as a superhero, I'm like, Mighty Molly again. Like I
Yeah,
know it was her idea from what I read, it was her idea, but it's like they could have done so much more with her that without this being a superhero. Like,
yeah.
oh, it so irritated me. Like I was like, they could have done so much. Like they could have made her like I think and one thing that has been going around that a lot of people are hoping happens, and this is my big thing that I really hope happens. I'm hoping, especially with her teaming up with Alexa last night, I'm hoping that Nikki Cross is gonna be the real life version of Lily.
I could see that
I
if
could
they
see
want
that. She kind of looks like her.
bring Lily back. Yeah, I like that was the whole thing was she looked like Lily and they had been friends.
Yes.
I I my hope right now for
Okay.
Raw, my big hope is they finally give Shayna Baszler the correct push
I
that
know.
she deserves because Shayna, I
They made
really
her do a joke at this point.
yeah. Yeah, I
They really
really,
did.
really love Shayna Baszler with how dominating she was in NXT, and it's
Mhm.
like she got to the main roster, and
Like
it's just
Shayna Baszler, she could be, I guess, categorized as Charlotte fighting the man. Like she could be like this
Mhm.
real world's version of China. Like
Yeah,
she really could be. Like she has that mixed martial arts UFC type background. So
yeah,
like you could give her like I don't know why they're dropping the ball with her because that was that elimination chamber before the pandemic. And that's when Shayna Baszler was getting when she bit, Becky Lynch and she was getting this big push. And Becky Lynch even begged Vince to have her have Shayna beat her at WrestleMania.
yeah,
And Vince wouldn't have it. And I'm like, why not? Shayna Baszler could have been a monster heel, like a
mhm,
monster heel, and same with Nia Jax. She could be a monster heel too, like because of her size and everything. Like they could do so much with them, and they're just making them like a joke now. Like
yeah.
it sucks. Like you can do so much with these characters and these talents that they have so much talent that they don't even know what to do with it.
Yeah, like what I didn't understand was they were splitting up all of these tag teams, like the Iconics. Now, granted, the Iconics were annoying, but they were supposed to be annoying, and they
Yeah,
were really good heels. Like I
yeah,
was entertained, but I was like,
yeah,
oh, these girls. But then they
right,
split them up, and they didn't know what to do with them, and then they
yeah,
started pairing random people together, like
yeah,
Mandy and Dana Brooke, and Naomi and Lana before they released Lana, and it's like, what are we doing here? You
right.
know? And
Yep,
heavy machinery too, like Otis and
yep.
Tucker. I really liked Otis and Tucker, split them up, and then
Yeah, and once they split Otis and Tucker, I'm like, best of wishes in your future endeavor, Tucker. I knew it was happening. It was going to happen. And the
yeah,
same thing with the Iconics. Once they split them up, they mainly did that so they could push Peyton because they didn't really see anything on Billy. And then Billy's the one that outshined Peyton.
yep,
And then
yep,
they released them both anyways. It's like, what?
yeah. I mean, the big one, the one that made me very mad was Aleister Black because I've been a huge Aleister Black fan for a couple years now, and that whole thing, like he was so cool. His entrance was cool. Um,
Yeah,
Before they changed his music, I know they had copyright stuff with the NXT,
yeah,
whatever, but like with him just like popping up and
yeah,
the black mask, like it was just really cool.
yeah,
And he was that kind of quiet talker, like how Jake the
yeah.
Snake was, like just very
I
intense.
was shocked about his release because and Braun Strowman's, but definitely Alistair's because they were literally pushing him in that feud with Big E. And then
That's my guy. I love
yeah,
Big E.
I do too. I love him too. He's awesome. But like they pushed him so hard, like Alistair to that feud with Big E, and then like out of nowhere they just like goodbye, like we don't need you anymore. Like where did
Yeah.
that come from? I heard it was budget reasons, but then they hire somebody back like Eva Marie, and it's like, did you release all these people to bring Eva Marie in? Like I mean like I don't get it. Like why would you like Braun Strowman? Like I know I read that they released him because he had an ironclad contract that was like a million or something dollars a year. Like it was a big contract, and he wanted either the same or more, and they didn't want to give it to him because he wasn't doing anything really major. But it's like he's not doing nothing major because your creative isn't giving him anything. Like give him something. Last year he was a champion, and now this year he's a joke because you're not doing nothing with him. And he was just in a high profile match with Shane McMahon in a cage. So like, how can you not? He could have been a perfect heel, a perfect monster. And I'm not talking Brodus Clay monster where he dances around with cheerleaders. Like you could have made Brodus Clay into that too, but they forbid that.
Oh man, I forgot about him.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that was happening. Like it was crazy. Like, oh my God, like Brodus Clay could have been a great heel and they just made him into a dancing fool. And like you could have done Braun Strowman, you could have made him into this unstoppable beast. Like he could have been like, you know, I guess you could say to an extent, the next big show to an extent. And like you could have done it.
Yeah, but I don't know if they think that Brock is the only one that can be like that, you know, and they bring Brock Lesnar back and forth, but that's
And I
kind
heard
of
they're bringing Brock back for SummerSlam because SummerSlam is going to be back with fans, and Brock only wants to be at the main pay-per-views. So they're bringing back Edge, they're bringing back Brock for SummerSlam. So I mean, maybe that I don't know. Like it really irritates me that like I know you can push these guys. They have so much talent, so much great talent, and then the ones that have the real good talent are the ones being let go. Like they let go Samoa Joe, but then they brought him back for NXT. But it's like Triple H is the one that brought him back. It wasn't Vince. Triple H is NXT. Like Vince doesn't care about NXT.
So I think one of their issues, besides the whole creative thing, is the average age of their wrestler is like mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
So if you look at AEW, like they have a lot younger talent there.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, you know, phase one with the first year or so, people were like, oh, it's a lot of ex-WWE guys. But like, yeah, that's kind of how you start to build up the other talent, like Darby Allin,
right?
So over. Jungle Boy is finally getting his push. Yeah. MJF, who is the best heel in years, the only person that can keep kayfabe alive is MJF, and he's going to get a title. He needs to get a title soon. And Britt Baker, Pittsburgh girl, Britt Baker, she finally got her title. Yeah, so
don't mention Sammy Guevara because he makes me melt like butter. I freaking love Sammy Guevara. He's so freaking cute. He is so adorable.
Do you want the panda thing back?
I do. I love the panda thing. He is so adorable.
We turned this into just a wrestling
podcast.
Not so bad.
I'm a big wrestling fan and a horror fan, but once you get me started on wrestling, you will not get me to stop.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask you more about horror, of course.
Yes.
Which horror film is your favorite, and which horror film got you into the genre?
Oh, well, let's start. So I was about 3 years old, and my dad had Halloween 2 on TV. And I remember Michael was just stalking Lori in the basement of that hospital, and she, you know, crawling around. My mom came in and started flipping out, I guess, but I was just sitting there watching it. I was fine. So from a young age, I just remember being like, yeah, this is cool, whatever. I can't pinpoint one. So I mentioned I love the Saw series. I love the psychology of the Saw, like the idea of it, of like you have to save yourself. The Exorcist will always be in my top list because of how real it felt and like the gags. Like if you look behind the scenes, like how they did stuff. Devil's Rejects. I love Devil's Rejects. I sound so like twisted. I'm just like, yeah, Saw, Devil's Rejects. But I do like James Wan, his work with the more classic. Like you don't really see a lot of gore as much compared to the other stuff. But the first Conjuring, like that, genius, genius. Just like simple things too can be the scariest.
Oh yeah,
there's a ton.
Like you said, the simplest things can be the scariest. Like I was terrified of Chucky as a kid, and it's funny. I'll tell you this story quick. So I was maybe 12ish, I'd say, and my little cousin was 6ish, I want to say. But something like that. But I asked her, she asked me if we could watch a movie. I'm like, yeah, sure. I said, how, you want to watch Toy Story? She's like, absolutely. I would love to watch Toy Story. I'm like, okay, awesome. So Kinda, right? So I put in the movie, and she's like, Scotty, this doesn't look like Toy Story. I'm like, no, it's got toys in it. It's got toys in it. Just keep watching, keep watching. So we're watching, see the voodoo things. Like, oh my god, this is scary. I'm like, it's okay, it's okay. It turns into a fun family time. So of course it is a fun family time. There's a birthday party, getting presents, you know. So how about that? So so yeah, she's watching that, and yeah, let's put it this way: she was terrified of Chucky and couldn't sleep by herself for a while. And guess what
Yeah.
happened? So was I until the age of like 16. I couldn't see a Chucky doll without pooping my pants.
Really? Wow.
It backfired on me. I got terrified as well because I only
Yep.
seen it like one time, and I heard all about it, but I seen it like one time prior, and I didn't remember much about it. So I
Yeah.
put it in, and yeah, it scared her, but it scared me too.
I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of ones that really scared me. Only so I get more scared of things that could happen.
Yeah.
Um, like what was that one in Australia? Wolf Creek.
Okay.
That was actually like based on a true story of all
Mhm.
these murders in the outback. Like the idea, and I think it was funny. I was talking to my friend about this earlier. Humans are the scariest creatures
Yeah.
because of what they can do. Like if you look at
Right.
like post-apocalyptic films and you see it that it's the humans
Yeah.
that are terrorizing everybody and just like how far we can go from humanity.
Yeah.
Kidnapping, that stuff. There was a Ryan Reynolds movie where he was
Mhm.
underground, he was
Yeah.
buried. That was horrifying to me. Like he
Wow.
got kidnapped and put in a box.
Yeah. And now the ones that scare me the most are like demonic ones, like demons and not really ghosts, but like demons, like kind of
Yeah.
like Drag Me to Hell and even The Exorcist, like things like that really creep me out. Because possessions, you do hear a lot of those stories, and those things do happen. So it kind of like they scare me a lot. Like the Omen, all that stuff, like they really do scare me. So I
Well,
watch them and I love them,
that
but they scare me.
that kid was creepy.
Yeah, he
It
was.
was the kid.
He was. He was very creepy. He was very creepy. And like I know a lot of people that are afraid of like Michael Myers, and they say Halloween is probably one of the scariest movies out there. And I say to me it's not scary, but I see how it can scare people, especially non-horror fans,
Right.
because you can literally be living your life in everyday life, literally be living it and not know that you have somebody watching your every move before he comes up and butchers you.
Yeah.
Like that is scary. I'm moving this thing out of here because it says 5 minutes till our interview because we started an hour early. But yeah, like that could happen. Like somebody can be watching your every move and watching what you're doing, and that is really creepy. Like that is probably the scariest thing. Like when I showed my boyfriend that Halloween, like he never saw like he's not a horror fan,
Oh,
so
really?
I forced him to watch horror movies. Like we saw almost all the Friday the 13th, almost all the Halloweens. But I'm forcing him to go to see Halloween Kills in October, and he
Gotcha.
said, "What if I don't want to go?" I said, "Well, you have no choice in the matter."
Right. Did you ever watch the movie Hush? It was on Netflix for a while.
I might have. It sounds very familiar.
So it was the woman was deaf and she was in this house, and it was kind of in the woods, it was a little isolated, and there
Oh,
was a
yeah,
guy
I think so. I think so.
that
Yeah,
that was I felt a lot of anxiety watching that, which I
yeah,
guess if you can evoke any type of emotion from me watching a film, like if I feel something,
mhm.
congratulations, like you did your job.
Right,
Like
absolutely.
that, like if I will respect a film and I'll be like, yeah, like I really let myself go into
Right.
that. I watched that by myself and I said, oh, that's a bad idea because you start looking
Yeah.
around.
One thing I wanted to put in a movie, and I never did this, and I might maybe in a future, is like have a character that's kind of blind, right?
Mm,
And then and like they're the main character, and like the first shot you see is like you've seen it from their point of view, black, you can't see anything. And
yeah.
then like they get their sight back, but when they get their sight back, immediately as it shows onto the camera, you have somebody jump out at you.
Ooh,
That would be
yeah,
really cool. Like that
yeah,
really would be really cool because you don't expect it. You see this person blind and they're starting to get their sight back, and then they jump out at you, like right at you, like, and then that person like gets in like a fight or whatever, they're fighting for their life type of thing. Like
yeah.
I think that would be really cool. I thought of things like that, even like things like you said about Hush, like when you don't hear anything, and then like even if you don't get your hearing back, but the audience gets, like you hear nothing, like the whole movie, you hear like the beginning of the movie, you hear nothing. This person's deaf, you're hearing it from their point of view. And then like you hear it now from the movie's point of view, not their point of view. And out of nowhere, it's like a big like something happens that scares
Yeah.
you. Like that would be like that would be creepy as hell, because like you don't expect that to happen. But I love it when a horror movie does something that you don't expect it to happen, or you do expect it to happen, but it does, but you don't think they're gonna go that way, but they do.
Right. Right. Hey,
That is
that's
cool.
Hereditary. That's how I felt with
Yeah,
Hereditary the whole time. I'm
yeah,
like, they're not going to go this way. They're not going to go this way. Oh, they did. They did
yeah.
go that way.
I
That's
was
a
think
true
I was
feeling.
thinking they're not gonna kill. They would never kill that little girl. They would never kill that little girl, and they killed that little girl.
That
They went there.
that noise in the movie theater, it was just a couple people in the movie theater, and that when that smack happened, I went,
Yeah.
and that
I
was
love when there. I hate it, but I love it when there's like a car scene and like you just drive in. It's like normal driving. You're like, somebody's gonna jump out. This is a horror movie.
yeah,
Somebody's gonna jump out of that car. And then it like goes on and on and on. They're still driving and on and on. It's like, okay, well maybe it's not gonna happen. Then it happens.
yeah,
Like they bam right into you. Like you
yeah.
don't expect it, and that gets
Well,
you.
that used to be like you would notice in horror films, like if the camera started to go a certain way, if you looked at a
Mhm.
certain corner on the screen, something would
Right.
come out there, or the typical person looks down, looks back
Yeah.
up, there's somebody in the mirror behind them,
Yeah.
or the music. If the music starts to get more quiet, but
Yeah.
I think now everybody's getting smarter and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I have to avoid all that and I have to get
Yeah.
creative with my stuff.
Yes.
So, like back to The Conjuring, when those hands came out of the darkness and did that,
Yeah.
that was great.
Yeah.
Great. Or Insidious, another one, where the demon was behind
Yeah.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah.
You didn't expect that because it was daylight and they were having a
Absolutely.
normal conversation and
Yeah.
it was just right there.
Yeah. And like that really like that I love, it's brilliance. It really is. Like for example, with our movie 72, can't go much into it, but we are a horror, but we're more of a suspense drama type, but it's gonna be scary. There's some jump scares in it, but it's more of a psychological mind fuck than it is
Okay.
a like, than it is like a slasher, like jump out and scare you type of thing. It's more of a scary because it's real world virus type of thing that's going on, and it's gonna mind fuck everybody's mind. Like it really is
Yeah.
scary to that extent. So that's where we're kind of going with it. We're aiming at the scare you so you can't sleep, not the scare you so you can jump out of your seat.
Right.
And that's the difference between like the horror that I really like. Like I do like where it gets scarier, but you can live your everyday life and not be afraid, of this
Yeah.
happening. But then there's also the movies that they scare you so bad that you don't jump out of your seat. But when you're home and you're showering and you're looking out your curtain because you want to make sure nobody's out there, or you
Yeah.
can't sleep because you're thinking of like demons coming out from under your bed,
Yeah.
things
The
like
long
that.
lasting, like
Right.
the long lasting
Yeah.
scare effect.
Yeah, and that's what The Exorcist did to me. I watched it from start to finish as a child, and it scared me so much that I could not sleep. I slept with my parents for a couple years because I couldn't
Yeah.
sleep. I saw like 6, 7, no, about 7 or 8 years old. It was like right after I started watching Friday the 13th, and I came across it. And when I watched it, I could not. I had to go. I had to sleep with my parents. I was terrified. I was afraid like I was gonna get possessed.
Yeah.
That is them doing their job. Like that's
Yeah.
their job, to scare you.
Yeah. And I
And
think like for The Exorcist, for me, it's such a like I can watch it and it creeps me out still a little bit, like
Mhm.
with what that face when she's going for that scan, every time
Yeah,
that face gets me. But it's such a long lasting film. Like I feel
yeah,
like even if you showed it to like the younger crowd now who might be a little desensitized by
yeah.
some things, but if you show them that, I think it would still really like get a reaction from them.
Right. And I'm actually speaking to Eileen. I can't pronounce her last name, Dietz or something like that. She played Pazuzu's face in the movie The Exorcist. So
So
I'm
the face and scan,
the face of the scan. Yeah, like the demonic face. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She's
Tell her she did a great job because
I
I'm still
will.
thinking about
Yep,
it.
she agreed to do my podcast.
Yeah.
She's not available this month or next month, so she told me to reach out around August 1st or 2nd, and we'll set something up in August for her to come on. But yeah, she played the Pazuzu's face, so I'm
Yeah,
excited about
see, that's how you know that you made a lasting impact. It's
that.
like
Yeah,
it's 2021 and I'm still like
right,
every time. No,
right,
it's coming every
and
time.
that character is like it's I guess you could say a main character, but it's like
Yeah,
it's not like in every scene type of thing. Like, you see Regan a lot, but that character's face, that face, that character. And it's like,
Mhm.
if that thing scared you and it's in, like, say maybe a couple of scenes here and there, like
Yeah.
that it made a lasting impression for you.
Yes.
That it's a successful part of that movie.
Yes.
Hands
Definitely.
down. So we did talk all about you being in Massacre Academy, but there's another movie that I saw on your IMDb that you are part of that Mark is also directing, Wolf Hollow.
Yeah.
We know, and you'll be apparently, according to your IMDb, playing Beth. So how did you get
Yeah.
involved with that film? I'm assuming, Mark.
Yeah. Yeah. So I knew he had been, cooking up this new baby. And Christina, who is Becca in Massacre Academy, she's going to be playing the lead in Wolf
Okay,
Hollow.
nice.
And I was like, oh, this is really cool. They're coming up with it. And then he was like, hey, why don't you read this? And I was like, yeah. And my character is the complete opposite of Kris. I get to be a bitch.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I'm talking to Mark. We're talking about Wolf Hollow. Maybe I'll be in it. I don't know yet. We're gonna discuss it more. I would love to be in
Yeah.
that, and if I am, that would be so awesome. I can't really say much about it because we don't really know yet. Like, we're just kind of
Right.
talking and that. But I mean, I'm looking forward to, if I can be a part of that, that would be awesome. And if I am, that'd be great to work with you and obviously Christina. I'll be interviewing her. I believe I interview her Friday, if I'm not mistaken, because I interview.
You just got all of us lined
Yes.
up. Boom,
Yep.
boom, boom.
Yep. I have you today, and then I have Christina and Sierra on Friday. I don't remember what times I have them. I know I have one of them at 12 and I believe one at 3, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know which one's at which. It's on my Zoom, so that'll remind me. But I have them two on Friday, and then I have Mark on Thursday. So and I have, like, all in one week we got to set up. So I'm happy about that. We can promote this because I know the premiere is coming out on July 31st
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh, I believe. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So July 31st at the Lamp Theater. It's going to be in Irwin, PA.
Okay.
We're still selling tickets as of right now. I
Mhm.
think if you go to the Lamp Theater's website, you can buy tickets if you're interested in coming.
Okay.
There's going to be some prizes, Q&A with us. There is going to be a red carpet. So I will actually not look like this. I'm putting some effort in. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be really cool just
Awesome.
to meet people and and maybe like chit chat a little bit more with some of the extras that were there for the one scene. I put on Facebook the day after. I was like, I'm so sorry I didn't really get to chat with you. I was trying to be antisocial on purpose.
Right.
Um, but it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be really cool to see everyone's reactions in this big
Right.
theater. And yes, so if you're
Awesome.
interested, tickets are $30. You can go on, like I said, the Lamp Theater's website and purchase them.
Awesome. I spoke to Mark. He wanted me to come out. I told him I can't, unfortunately. We're not filming that weekend, but we're prepping for the next weekend's filming. We
Yeah.
actually took that weekend off because a couple of our cast members in 72 are in Massacre Academy, and we wanted them to have a good time at the premiere. We
Yeah.
didn't want them to have to choose us or you guys. Like, we realized, we're all indie horror family, and me and Carl discussed it, and we're like, we definitely believe that they should have fun, have a week off. So we are filming the 2 weekends prior. So I know Michael Taylor is involved with Massacre Academy. He's in 72 as well. DJ Patton's an extra. He'll be out there. So we wanted to give everybody, the time to enjoy the premiere because you guys worked so hard on it. Amanda Sawyer, she's the CEO of my company. And she's she's also involved in 72, and she's gonna be there, and it's gonna be so much fun. So if you haven't gotten your tickets for Massacre Academy, definitely go see it. You're gonna meet some amazing people. You're gonna meet Mark. You're gonna meet, of course, Jess, Christina, and Sierra. You'll see the interviews with Christina and Sierra later this week. Amanda will be there, and DJ will be there. Michael Taylor will be there. I'm sure Noelle Berger will be out there as well. So definitely go out there and support them and support indie horror, because it really is a family, and it isn't easy or cheap to make a movie, and they were able to make a movie that is not just good but is badass.
Yeah.
So definitely go out and support them. Last question I got for you.
Yeah.
We have discussed, of course, Wolf Hollow and Massacre Academy. Outside of them, are there any other projects you are working on that you want to promote, as well as any social media accounts?
Yeah. So as of right now, a movie that I worked on in 2019 called The Boonies. It is out on pretty much all video on demand
Right.
services. You can rent or buy it on Amazon Prime, iTunes,
Awesome.
Google Play, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Office. But it's out there, find it.
Yes.
Um, I have a couple of things coming up at the end of the summer. But if you would like to keep up with me, and sometimes I do some slightly inebriated wrestling commentary if I'm feeling frisky on certain nights. Follow me on Instagram, Ferris
Awesome.
Bueller 55. It is like Ferris Bueller, but without the B. So very
Awesome.
easy to follow. You will see some photos of me. It's mainly the cats, though. There's Bjorn Meow inside and Gambit LeBeau.
Awesome. That sounds so great. I thank you, Jess, for making the time to be on here and promote some Massacre Academy, a little bit of Wolf Hollow, and discuss a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll
Not
talk
a
wrestling
problem. I
anytime.
had a great time. I really had a fun time and a blast, talking to you about all this. And I look forward to seeing Massacre Academy. I can't wait to see it myself. I know Mark helped me hook me up, so I'll be watching that probably in the next week or so. So I can't wait to give you all my review on it. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's going to be just as good as it sounds.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on 72. You
Thank
guys
you.
seem to be moving and grooving. I've been watching
Yeah.
like the announcements and stuff. So
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much. We look forward to doing that as well. It's going to be so much fun. But we thank you so much for joining me. And you have a great rest of your night and stay safe.
Yeah, you too.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
see you soon.
Yep. Bye bye.
Bye.